All right, guys, so back at it again with the Mark IV GTI project car. This is going to be a simple video on just showing some of the more in-depth procedures on how to shave and tuck wiring in this bay when you're doing some of the deletes, and just some of the rundown that not a lot of people might tell you that you kind of need to do before you consider doing this extensive of a job, meaning pulling back the body and engine harness, rerouting it, whether it be through the cowl here and through the frame rail, or however you're really going to do it. There's deletes that you need to do first, and I didn't realize this until it was way too late. So let's run through some of those first. So the main thing that you're going to want to do, if your car doesn't already have it, the deletion of all these vacuum lines, your N249, your SAI tank, and the pipe that it runs to. So the chamber, there's a bunch of stuff under here that has to be plugged. There's a whole delete kit, basically, and you want to do that first. And the reason why is something that I didn't realize, because I was really just focused here. Because if you've watched my channel, the last few videos, I've talked about how I'm doing not only the coolant ball delete, but I'm also relocating the battery clearly to the trunk. So something that really needs to be done is all these wires, they kind of go back to numerous spots that are on the opposite end of the motor. Like, for instance, here's one that goes all the way to here, right? Here's another one that comes up, let's follow it, goes right to here, right? Goes right under all these vacuum lines. So what you're gonna have to do, if you aren't deleting this, which in my opinion is pointless, you have to extend these cables. So you're gonna have to cut them. You're gonna have to solder on an extension so it can reach. So I can do that, that's no problem, but this is so old, it's so corroded, that I'm gonna do the whole delete anyway, because I just don't see a point. This whole piece, by the way, is like almost $350. Maybe you could get it slightly cheaper, but then, you know, you have your sensors, all these things add up, and it's really just a pointless system, especially if, you know, you're using this car for performance reasons and you're working on it often like me. And the whole point of shaving the bay is to make things not only prettier, but more accessible for you to work on shit easier. So why I have to stop and reconnect everything and wait until next season is because in my state we do an emissions test, and it's once every 2 years. And what that test does is, unlike a lot of other states with an inspection like New York, you will get your registration revoked immediately if it doesn't go into the database that you've had your test completed. We don't have an inspection sticker here. I can't just go and get a sticker from a buddy that works at a mechanic shop and pop it on. I need to make sure that the car passes. These shops that do these tests are not like your mom and pop where you could just slip them a couple hundred under the table. A lot of them are like Firestone and these big name brands that are not going to go out of their way to help you with a cash under the table deal. So the car genuinely has to pass. That's not a problem. The issue is I'm up in May, which is when I usually put this car back on the road. It only usually sees summer months. And I don't want to spend the money to not only delete this, but have to get it retuned, have to work out the quirks. There's just too much going on. I'd rather keep this the way it is, just simply relocate the battery this season, got rid of the coolant ball, did all the aluminum flanges, and just I'll tackle this next year when the car goes down again for the winter and this is out of the way. I'll delete this. So that is basically the rundown of what you have to consider when you're doing these jobs. A lot of these wires have to be extended. Some of the harness will have to be extended. It all is all applicable to your application. But the number one thing, in my opinion, is get rid of this first and then go from there. Because a lot of these wires run back through here into this side of the motor, and you're gonna have to extend almost every single one of them if you are tucking these wires. So just keep that in mind. Stay tuned. I'm gonna do a full video on relocating this battery and how I'm running that. It'll be a relatively short, maybe 10-minute video. I'm gonna show the whole process. I already have a diagram drawn out here for my power, the way things are getting routed. I'm using an E36 distribution block. It's a relatively simple process, to be honest. So stay tuned for that. Thank you. Take it easy.